This is not my reaction to the GTA 6 trailer, for two reasons. First up, I wanted to talk about some of the games that I played in November, and second up, I've never actually played a GTA game. I know, I can't call myself a gamer anymore. I'll turn in my gamer card. But it's true, which isn't to say I'm against playing GTA 6, or any of the titles. In fact, I think San Andreas looks really cool. I just haven't gotten around to it. There's so many things in my backlog that I haven't played. And that's something that I plan to change. I'm not setting any, I'm going to play one game from my backlog a month. But what I am going to do is, whenever I go to buy a new game, I'm going to ask myself, should I buy this new game or should I play the game from my backlog? Which hopefully is going to lead to me playing more games from my backlog. And speaking of, I played 3 games in November that I wanted to talk about. One of which was sort of kind of new, but also sort of kind of from my backlog because I'd actually played it a while ago and put a first impressions video on this channel, which is Dungeons 4. I had a lot of fun playing Dungeons 4, mostly because of a wave of a story grabbed me. And the real story behind Dungeons 4 is how little content I've made for it. Because I was expecting, I'm gonna play through the campaign and make a review, which I still may do. I haven't 100% decided yes or no on that. But then I was also thinking I should probably make a couple extra videos about, for example, how the storytelling's woven in. Here's the thing. When I'm playing a game, I'm very often lost in the world. It's immersive. But when I'm playing a game to make a video, I'm taking notes. I'm pulled out of that world. And I'm paying attention to other things. I'm recording the gameplay footage. When do I start and stop the recording so I can find it later? When do I take notes and what do I take notes on? And where do I put those notes into telling a story? All of these things I have to think about if I'm going to be playing a game to review it. And I'm about 18 missions deep on Dungeons 4, and I have done absolutely none of that. Because I've been having an absolute blast. But that said, I do want to review it to share it and also give the devs a well-deserved bump in terms of publicity. They made an awesome game, and so I'm talking about it here, and I'll try to remember to talk about it in the future. Get subscribed if you want to see that, or maybe you'll end up seeing something on one of the other games instead. Because I did play other games in November. The second title that I want to talk about, Death Must Die. Another game that I played the first impressions of on this channel. It's an indie title. Think of it as a bullet heaven game that happens to also be influenced a bit by roguelikes, and also influenced, of course, by ARPG itemization. And if you know me, you know that I've played a little bit of a few ARPGs, including some good ones and some very bad ones. On that note, a link to a video about that, maybe some of the bad ones rather than the good ones, will be up in the card and down below. But that's the interesting thing. Dungeons 4 is a really nice blend of genres. And while I spent a lot of time in the videos I made about Dungeons 4, talking about its elements as a roguelike or a bullet heaven or just some of the really fun builds like auto bombers that I got to play, I wanted to take a moment here to talk about how Vampire Survivors took a lot of inspiration from Magic Survivors. And then we saw a lot of games take inspiration from, or in many cases, straight up copy Vampire Survivors. But the gameplay was exactly the same. And so I didn't play a lot of them. Because why would I play them when I could just play Vampire Survivors, the game that I already own and already enjoy and need to get 100% on again because they keep coming out with achievements. Why does Ponko keep coming out with achievements? That small rant aside. Death Must Die feels very different. While yes, there's a point where you're just a walking screen exploder, there's also a lot of points that feel completely out of an ARPG, where you have to fight a dangerous enemy, the boss has actual mechanics, and what you want is the loot they drop. I was, in fact, farming Dracula runs, not because I just wanted to win, but because I wanted his items, and the uniques are especially cool. I probably didn't do enough to highlight them in my review. Some of them are pretty boring, but functional, like, hey, 150 armor or evasion. Others do things like God Rage. What is God Rage? A really disappointing meteor storm. But hey, there's an actual meteor storm that works really well, so you'll win some, you'll lose some. The nice thing about unique items is they have special stats that aren't found anywhere else, it usually means the rest of our stats are subpar because they have a ton of one thing. And so they can often brick your runs or make them feel worse. However, they're also really cool as a one-off in what is otherwise a well put together build. I especially like that you can get 150 extra armor or evasion, which is a great way to fix your defenses on a build that's otherwise quite greedy and going for damage. And so because Death Must Die feels like a true iteration on the genre, a blending of others, I look forward to not only it, but other games like it that have been inspired by Vampire Survivors and put their own unique twist on things. Speaking of, if you want to see another game that puts a twist on things, check out Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, links up in the card and down below. The last game that I played in November 2023 that I want to talk about is a quite old game. In fact, it may be older than you, depending on how old you are watching this video. Age of Empires 2. Because sometimes you can't mess with the classics, and the oldies are the goodies. Though in this case, I don't know. Age of Empires has kind of been going out to bars and getting drinks. It's changed a little bit. It's weird because, on the one hand, I noticed some of the changes, like the keybinds being different. This was a thing brought in Age of Empires 2DE when they modernized the game, or being able to play as different civs. But on the other hand, it still feels very similar to what it once did. And since I've been playing mostly with a friend, it's quite fun to both do co-op against the AI and then lose because we're both kind of bad, or do PvP, and at least then I have a fighting chance because we're both bad rather than just one of us. But that second point is really why I wanted to talk about Age of Empires. Because sure, if you're playing competitively for any RTS, you need to be good at it to play it. After all, if you get crushed in ranked games time and time again and never learn anything, that's not fun. But if you're playing with someone who's about your skill level, maybe a little better, maybe a little worse, or if you're playing in a cooperative way where you can tag team the AI, then all of a sudden, it becomes a much more open game. And it's really wonderful. No real stakes. I mean, sure, you want to win, but at the same time, you're playing with a friend. You want them to win sometimes too. And it's a great way to re-experience an old game in a way that does feel quite new. And because it's as much about the other person as the game itself, at least for me, the feeling always feels a little bit different every time. Call it being blinded by nostalgia-tinted glasses if you want. I'd say it's actually just that I'm re-experiencing one of my favorite games through sharing it with someone else, who also have played quite a bit before, but we've never played together before now. So in that sense, it's new for both of us. With that said, I'm curious. Have you ever played a game with friends and had the experience change as a result? Or of the 3 titles that I just talked about, do any grab your interest? Leave them down below, or leave a game recommendation that you might want to see me play in the future. Before I go, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for their continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can help make videos just like this one possible. And for about $5 a month, you can have your name appear on screen, just like these fine folks here. Or if you want another way to support the channel while also getting games, head over to NexusGG using my link. A portion of any game you buy will go not only to directly supporting the devs, more so than usual, but also supporting the channel. Link to both of those will be down below. With that said, thanks for watching. That's all for me today. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you again sometime soon.